Hey guys, today I found a new post from a user named melodic underscore cat underscore 9356. Basically states that this person is a 24-year-old with almost $10,000 in credit card debt and hurting their credit score. They make about $40,000 a year, so about $1,400 bi-weekly. Can afford to pay it all off at once. It's between two cars and both have the same APR. I've done the math, and if I can put $1,000 each month into my debt, I can pay it off. But it scares me not having money just in case. What should I do? If you actually read kind of further into it, kind of talks about this person talks about the having $5,000 in savings for an emergency fund, and it seems like this is their second year postgraduate program. Then I guess working as well as doing the postgrad program, and they were just in debt because they lived away from home for the first year after the graduation, and kind of added the debt because of the living expenses and that sort of things. But now they kind of moved back in home, so their expenses gotten down a little bit tremendously, and they have, as it says, about $1,000 per month they can put towards paying off the debt. First and foremost, I think it's actually really good that they have a surplus of about $1,000 per month where they can actually use it to pay up the debt, which is significant. It's very, very big. And just because the portion of your credit card balance versus what you're able to put into it is really pretty significant. It's $10,000 balance, $1,000 per month. Easy math says you can pay it off in a year, one way or the other. So, which is really, really good. Even if you don't touch the emergency fund, which some people suggest is to do so. I think that's what you're kind of leaning into as well. My opinion on that is actually to not dip into that $5,000 in emergency fund, because like you said, it is an emergency fund. It is a cushion just in case something happens. That way, you don't have to worry about what if something were to happen, just in case, right? Because that money is for just in case. Now, of course, it hurts you, because you have to spend so much money and interest that you have to pay, that sort of things. Which is, I get that, but again, I think you gotta kind of treat it like that $4,000, $5,000 is a like a sacred money where you just don't touch no matter what, right? And then with $1,000 per month, you can be very aggressive and try to pay it off. If it's the same APR, typically I don't think it matters which one you pay off first, but as long as you pay it down. I wouldn't worry so much about the credit just yet, just only because I think you already mentioned that you have a pretty decent credit as is still. So I'm not too worried about that. Now, some people actually mentioned about the 0% financing or the 0% credit card transfer. If your credit is good enough, I guess that's another good option that you can look into. Now, one thing I want to caution you is that they do come with upfront financial charge. So like when you get a transfer, you have to pay a fee to get it transferred. Typically, somewhere, but it used to be about 3% or 5%. I'm not sure what it is nowadays, but you could be paying, if it's $10,000, $300 or $500 to get it transferred over. I would imagine that's a little bit higher nowadays, just because the interest rate has come up a whole lot since when I heard about this years ago. Another thing is that I automatically assumed that was actually a pretty decent way to pay off the debt, but I was actually pretty surprised when I actually did the math. So I actually built out an Excel sheet to kind of show what the numbers look like. And again, of course, this one is obviously a little bit skewed just because, again, the amount of payment that you're able to pay it towards paying up the debt is so huge that one way or the other, whether you do it or not, I think you're gonna be paying it off within a year anyways. But I wanted to kind of point something out where, so if you are able to pay $1,000 per month towards paying off $10,000 in debt, right? Assuming it doesn't say what the interest rate you have currently on your credit cards are, but if it is 15% APR on your current debt, and if you're able to pay $1,000 per month, you should be able to pay it off within about 11 payments, and total interest that you would have paid over that 11 months should be right around $750 plus or minus, right? Versus if you were to actually get it transferred over to the 0% financing, but the fee of upfront fee of $500 or 5% will be $500. So you do get the benefit of saving, let's say, about $250 by you just making the $1,000 monthly payment, because even at the transfer of the 0% financing, if you still pay $1,000 per month, you'll be able to pay it off in the same duration, which is 11 months, and you would have paid $10,500, versus in the other case, obviously you would have paid $10,750. Now, what I did though, because that number looked very, very close, I actually reduced the interest rate on the current credit card, which I'm sure there are very, very few credit cards that are less than 15%, especially nowadays. But I want to just use it for the sake of math. And it shows same, 0%. And the scenario 3 is 0% financing for the first, let's say, year. It doesn't matter if it's 12 months or 18 months, because you're going to pay it off in 11 months anyway. The service upfront service fee of 5% is still $10,500. You pay total $500 in interest or the fees. In the other scenario, if your current rate is only about 10%, which is significantly higher than what you would pay on the fee for 0% transfer, the total interest that you would have paid, even if you kept it for almost a whole year, and again still paid $1,000 per month into it, you would have only paid $485. So seemingly upfront, it appears that hey, if I get a 0% versus if I'm paying 10% now, why wouldn't I get it transferred? But that's not always the case, just because again you're paying all of that fees up front, versus here you pay the interest on the balance. So as you pay down the balance, as more aggressively as you do, again your overall interest goes down. So in this case, even at 10% interest, you actually end up paying less. But that, I just wanted to use that as an example. I also ran another scenario where you actually paid over longer term, or having to borrow a little bit more money, and this sort of things. Obviously, that makes things a little bit less attractive for your current conventional credit cards, and obviously more and more towards getting the balance transfer and paying it upfront fees and stuff like that. But just keep in mind is I always thought 0% is just by landslide is a much better situation. But you really, really, truly don't know until you actually do that. So just something to keep that in mind. A lot of people say something about touching the emergency fund. I don't recommend that, just because, again, that is the reason why you have the emergency fund to begin with. And in your case, thankfully, you're at a place where a lot better than most people, where you're able to pay off the $10,000, $1,000 per month towards that $10,000 balance so aggressively, right? So you can pay it off you can pay it off in 11 months, 12 months. So I think you did a really, really good job, and you did it really, really well. So congratulations. Hope this helps. Thank you.